Hello everybody, and thank you for joining me. This is Ciara from Ciara T Designs, and today I have this super colorful card to share with you. So let's jump right in. So I always have my A2 bases already made. So I have one of those set aside here, and I'm going to trim down a black mat to about 1/8 of an inch smaller than my A2 base. And then I also have a piece of distressed watercolor cardstock that is cut into the A2 size. So I'm going to cut about 1/4 of an inch off of that so that my layers are quite thin. I like that look. You could create a bigger border or a smaller border, depends on what you prefer. But this is kind of the look that I like. And then I brought in the Tim Holtz Floral Trims stamp, which is what you see me stamping here. And I do have my Misti because I wasn't sure if I'd need to stamp it more than once. I did end up stamping it twice just because the center of the flowers didn't stamp really well the first time. And I am using a water-resistant ink for this. So I chose to use my Versafine Onyx black ink. Just because I wanted to bring in my oxides for that really cool kind of whimsical watercolor feel. So that's kind of what I'm aiming for. And I did put it on an angle across the panel just because I kind of like that look. You could stamp it on two sides. You could do a whole bunch of different designs with this if you prefer, but this is just kind of how I like to do this. And I think that it ends up looking quite pretty. There's kind of a lot of color going on, but that's something I really enjoy. So it doesn't bother me at all. And then on top of my Tim Holtz mat, I have I believe it's the Surface Media mat, and that's that white piece you see sitting on top of my glass mat. And that's just for really cool techniques. You don't need it. You could use the glass mat. I really like tools, so I do have a tendency to invest in them, but completely up to you as to what tools would work for you the best. So I just had a lot of fun playing with this. And I brought in 5 colors of Distress Oxide ink, and this is going to be how we create the background for this card. I guess it's the background of the colored panel because we're going to do some more to it to kind of enhance some areas. So we will do more to it, but this is kind of how we're going to start our colored layers. So I am going to use a paper towel to kind of edit out areas that I don't like. Here, some of the colors mixed and kind of created a browny gray color, and I didn't like that very much. So I kind of edited that out. And then I will dry between each layer so that I am layering, not blending. So my first lay of color is a blend. That's why I kind of added water and just pounced my piece of distressed watercolor cardstock into the colors until I was kind of happy with how much mix I had in the back. But if you want to layer colors or add little speckles, that kind of thing, you do need to dry it in between because dry will layer and wet will blend. So and keep that in mind if you want to recreate this, and if you're struggling at all, just make sure you do dry in between each layer. So for the 5 colors that I used, I had Squeezed Lemonade, Worn Lipstick, Cracked Pistachio, Broken China, and Wilted Violet. I like rainbow-esque colors. They're kind of my preference, but you could use anything and this would look really cool. You could do like a neutral palette. You could do a monotone. Whatever makes you happy would be beautiful because this is just a really fun way to kind of play with colors and come out with a card that doesn't need a lot of effort. I mean, you do have to have a little bit of patience because you're kind of, you pounce the colors on and then you dry it. I'm not going to show you me drying the panel anymore. Like I've showed you the one time, you understand that I'm drying it, so I'm not going to show you that again. But I am drying the color each time in between each layer so that I get more of a layering look than a blended look. So you can kind of tell every time I jump clips, I've dried in between that so that I can kind of add color on top. So if you haven't had a chance to check it out, make sure you check out the giveaway I have going on my channel. It closes in a week from today, and if you want to enter it, you absolutely should. There's quite a few fun goodies in it that I'm giving away, and it's just as a thank you for my channel hitting the 4,000 subscribers that I recently hit. I'm really excited, and I wanted to say thank you for all the support that you guys have given me through the couple of years that I've been doing this. So I'll have that linked up in the corner there for you. It's also on my channel. It's the video right before this one. So yeah, you can go and check it out and enter in so you have a chance to win that. And it is open internationally. It's open to everybody. I'm going to pay the shipping. I'm going to send it out. So yeah, anybody who wants to enter is more than welcome to. And I strongly encourage you to, because yeah, I want to say thank you. And I am picking 3 winners. One winner will get that prize pack. You'll see the prize pack in the video, and then 2 more winners will just get a card from me and some of the stickers that I've designed that I have in my Etsy shop. So yeah, so I hope that you guys will go and check it out and that you will enter into the giveaway so you have a chance to win. I am, as I said, drawing in a week. So this is where I'm going to enhance some of those areas. So I used Oxide inks for the first step because they are a more muted, they're a little more chalky, they're a little more, I don't quite know how to explain it. I love Oxide inks. They're probably my favorite ink. They're my go-to for everything. But when I want more vibrant colors and still in that distress palette, I do bring in my Distress Ink minis. I don't own the full-sized ones for the Distress Ink. I don't use them enough, in my opinion, to justify the bigger size, because this is what I tend to like to use them for. I like to use them to kind of color in images. So I do tend to just have the smaller ones. That works for me. And then I have the tins, and I just keep them in the tins in a drawer and kind of bring them out and play with them. Though I do own all of the colors. So there's that. I just own them in the minis. But so I created the background with my oxides. And then I'm going to go in with the same 5 colors, which was the Worn Lipstick, Wilted Violet, Broken China, Cracked Pistachio, and Squeezed Lemonade. And I'm going to put them down on my mat and then kind of paint them above where the oxides were already used. So you kind of get these flowers, and I only did it on 3 of the 4 flowers in that trims, but I did it on the flowers to just enhance the colors of those flowers, just because I think it looks really pretty. And it's a fun technique that doesn't take a lot of thought, because you're really just enhancing the color that's already there, right? Because we did that kind of pouncing the color on earlier. So the colors are already wherever they are, and now we're just enhancing them and making them stand out a lot more. So, I mean, you know, you get a really fun blend, and I want to make sure that all of the petals have at least some of one of those 5 colors, because that creates those really pretty colors on the leaves, or on the petals, sorry, that kind of just blend together. And I am using a water brush for this. This is the Tim Holtz Detail Water Brush. It is by far one of my favorites because it has a smaller paintbrush at the end. So you kind of get a bit more control when you're trying to create this kind of a look, because they're not big areas. I have other paintbrushes for bigger areas. I just kind of prefer this. And then of course it also has the water, so that gives me the chance to not have to wet my inks constantly. I can just keep going in. And I do use a paper towel to clean off my brush in between colors. It's really easy to clean off because it is full of water, right? So it just kind of cleans easily. And then to help the flowers stand up from the background, this is going to create a shadow. So I brought in the N3 Copic marker, and I'm using that to just create this subtle shadow around the 3 flowers. I'm going to go over the leaves. I'm going to go over everything else in that area, just kind of butting up along against the ink of the flowers. But do be aware that the ink I use to stamp is not Copic safe. So luckily, all I'm doing is creating a border to let the flowers kind of stand up from the card, give them some more dimension. So it doesn't really matter too much in this instance, but do be aware of it. Like I didn't use a Copic safe ink. So if you were going over top of the lines, they might bleed a little bit. I try really hard not to go over the top of the lines of the flowers. I do on the other images, but excuse me, because it's such a small line, it shouldn't really create any issues for you, but I do want you guys to be aware of it. And so I just went around each of the outside of the flower, creating that shadow that kind of gives you the illusion that the flowers are standing up from the background, which kind of helps set them apart so that they're more of a focal. And then I brought in, because I can't stop myself, I brought in my clear glitter pen. So this is water-based, so it will try to move some of the ink. I don't mind, because we have such a watercolorly look anyway, so to me it doesn't really matter, but be aware that you may move the colors a bit more than you mean to. That's why I have a piece of paper towel there, and every once in a while I just kind of clean off any of the ink that's trying to sit on top of my glitter pen, so that I'm not, just smearing it around all over the place. But I think that it looks really pretty, and it gives you this stunning clear shimmer all over the flowers, which helps them stand out even more. And then for the sentiment, I brought in the Tim Holtz Noteworthy set, because they're just really great sentiments that are just very supportive. And I kind of love that when I'm not making thank you or birthday cards. I feel like these are a great addition to your set of stamps if you don't have anything really supportive. So this one specifically says, "Be you, the world will adjust." And I thought that was just kind of a cool message to give somebody. And then of course I'm going to adhere all of my layers together. This panel of course did get warped. I used a lot of water and a lot of ink on it throughout my many layers, so it is a little bit warped. My kind of trick for that is to adhere it and kind of get it lined up, and then once I have it where I want it to sit, I have to kind of hold it with my fingers for a few seconds. I usually will bring in something heavy and set it on top. So in this case, I brought in my Misti and just let it sit on top until it dried, so it dried flat. And then of course, adhering it down to the card base will help with that as well, because it does kind of help flatten it out. I did also put this under my Misti as well, just to add that little bit more weight so that it adhered nice and straight and flat. So it's kind of like my tip when I have a panel that's quite warped because I've been playing with it, but it's usually pretty easy to go back to what you need. And then I added some clear sequins. These are the Vanilla Fusion Luster sequins from Studio Katia. I just like sparkle, and these are super subtle, so they don't take away from all that beautiful bold color in the back. They just kind of add a little bit of extra shimmer throughout the design, which you guys know that I love all things shimmery, so I think that that's always a good addition to everything. And then I did bring in a white gel pen. This is an unnecessary step. I just feel like sometimes a highlight will give a little more life to an image. This is kind of what I was thinking. So I originally brought it in and I used it to dot the I think they're called stamen, right at the end of the flower centers. I used it to just add dots on there so that they kind of were more apparent, because they did get kind of lost in all the coloring and whatnot. And then I also added some highlights to some of the petals. There's no rhyme or reason. There's no color scheme or like shadows, lights, nothing like that. I just added them wherever it made me kind of happy. And that was kind of the idea there. And yeah, I think that turned out really pretty, and it kind of just added a little more life to a very flat card, but it kind of adds that extra dimension that I really try to strive for. But this is a perfect card to mail because there's no dimension to it. The only thing there is the sequins that sit up a little bit higher. So I'm going to hold it up here so you guys get a chance to look at it in all of its glory. I'd love to know what you guys think of this card. It's kind of a simple one, but I think it turned out stunning and I love how it looks. So I'd love to know what you guys think. So leave me a like, leave me a comment, and consider subscribing if you haven't already. And make sure you check out that giveaway while you have a chance to enter. Thank you so much, guys, and I will see you again very soon. Bye-bye for now.